What is the secret that makes guys like the Tate brothers look fit and aesthetic even when they're wearing t-shirts or suits? How come these guys and other athletic men who aren't even bodybuilders look bigger in clothing than the guys who spend 6 days a week in the gym? The answer is very simple, but first, if you want to get some one-on-one coaching or simply get a full aesthetic body program that goes over exercises, diet, and recovery that will get you the aesthetic body that actually fills out your sleeves, click the top link in my description. So first, why do guys like Andrew Tate look very masculine and aesthetic even when they're wearing just a t-shirt? The most simple answer is because he has developed muscle that many guys in the gym actually neglect, which makes them look skinny even though they may be able to lift heavy weights and have been in the gym for years. This muscle is the neck. So take a look at this thumbnail by a bodybuilding YouTuber named Jeff Nippard, what he created, and look at just how significant the neck muscles play in building the masculine frame. While Andrew Tate doesn't have like an absurdly large neck, it is far more developed than the average gym goer, which could most likely be due to his martial arts background. And while the neck gets stimulated by other exercises for most people, I'd argue that their necks do not receive enough stimulation, which is why even though the rest of their body may be muscularly developed, they still don't look aesthetic. So a very simple way to fix this is by performing neck exercises like the neck curl. The way you do this is by laying down on a bench with your head hanging off and simply moving your head up using only your neck muscles, not your abs, or not using momentum either. So if you've never performed these before, I suggest using no weight just to get used to it because your neck's going to be really sore if you've never actually targeted it. And in this video, I use a dumbbell, which works if your gym has like those flatter dumbbells on the ends and not like the more hexagonal or more round, but just flat and round. But most of the time, I'll actually just use a regular weight plate. And to prevent your forehead from being really uncomfortable, I highly suggest that you use a towel or a paper towel or a hoodie under the weight while you curl. I usually use a towel, but you can train this exercise just like you would any other exercise, just high intensity, and I suggest about 12 to 15 reps. And the neck is a smaller muscle, so it recovers quicker than something like your chest or your legs, so you can train it more frequently than you would bigger muscles. There are other neck exercises I go over in my aesthetic body program, but those are mostly supplements or alternatives, but I believe that this weighted neck curl is the most essential and bare bones neck exercises that most people should be doing. And another exercise that is more for the upper traps, which is the muscles right in between your neck and your shoulders, is the shrug. And I've been doing less of these recently because my traps have been growing from doing deadlifts. But if you aren't deadlifting, which I don't know why you aren't, a lot of people hate on deadlifting, but I think it's great, especially even for hypertrophy. But that's a whole other topic. So if you're not deadlifting, you'll most definitely want to be doing these. Shrugs can be performed with the trap bar like how I'm doing in this video, although I'll admit in this video it was a little too heavy, or with dumbbells. And I'll advise that if you're a guy, which if you're watching this, I'm assuming you are, I'd avoid barbell shrugs because if you've ever tried pulling a barbell directly up your thighs, you'll learn quickly that there's something in the middle that will get in the way. But with a developed neck, you'll realize just how much bigger you look and feel in your clothing, and especially if you're wearing a dress shirt or a collared shirt that buttons up at the neck. Eventually, if you're like how I was, you're going to need completely new shirts because your neck just gets so big and so thick that it gets impossible to button that top button on your collared dress shirts. So when you're wearing your shirts, like a dress shirt or a polo, you want that collar to fit just right on the neck so it doesn't look loose or like it's choking you. And there should be very little space, this is what we call like in styling and clothing, what's called the collar gap. And if you look at this picture of Andrew and Tristan Tate, you'll see that like especially for Tristan, there's very little room in the collar. And it doesn't look like it's choking him, but it's just fit enough that makes his neck look thick in his shirt. And now we're going to look at something else in this picture of Andrew and Tristan Tate that makes them look aesthetic in their clothing. You'll notice that the both of them have a wide upper body, but not a wide lower body, which is called the V-taper in terms of aesthetics. It's called the V-taper. And it's far easier to see without clothing, but this whole video is about like looking big with clothing. So it's easier to see without clothing, but with the right amount of muscle mass, it's still noticeable in clothing and makes the appearance look far more impressive. And this V-taper exists because they both have developed upper traps, shoulders, back, and chest, which causes their clothing to take on like a masculine silhouette. And you also notice that they aren't trying extra hard to look big in their clothing like how other guys like Conor McGregor or this one guy I found on the internet are. You shouldn't be trying to wear smaller and tighter clothing to look bigger because once you get bigger, you'll get big enough that the clothing will just follow. It'll follow you just right and it won't look like you're trying extra hard. You don't have to be getting extra small just to look big. You will, when you actually build the mass, look bigger in your clothing. And so developing the V-taper it's very simple, but it's not easy. You need to be focused on training the aesthetic muscles like the ones that I just mentioned and be at a low enough body fat that your waist isn't too wide and your stomach isn't too bloated so you can actually get that silhouette. So Now you know the secrets of actually looking big in your clothing. Train your neck if you aren't already, and this will make your shirt collars look far more aesthetic than if you have a pencil neck. And of course, develop your V taper and don't go in too high of a body fat percentage so you can maintain that masculine aesthetic silhouette in your clothing. If this video helped you, or you really want to develop that classic masculine physique with all the information simply laid out for you, make sure to click the top link in my description to join my aesthetic bodybuilders community, where you get access to my program that has all the diet, exercise, and recovery information you need to build the aesthetic body. You'll also get access to me and other guys on the same journey if you have any questions or comments.